All right. Hey, everybody. How's it going? How y'all doing tonight? Do a couple of quick shout outs tonight. Looks like Lynn Weeper was in the house first. We got Scotty Hill, old Justin Fetish. Creo was in the house. Lacey was in the house. Papa Id. Jason Blackburn. What's up, J Dog? We got Norm, Parker, Creo. I don't remember if I said Creo or not. Mike Irvin. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Hey, tonight we got Mr. Terry Rodgers here with us. I'd like to introduce him. And first off, we'd like to thank you for your service. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're 100% welcome. It's my honor to serve.
Well, I know we've been waiting on that boat, man. Are we getting any closer to get that boat?
We're getting a little bit closer. We're getting closer and closer by the day. Uh, as I don't know if some of you guys keep up with me and everything. I sold my old boat, which was a ProCat 240, and ordered a new boat, which is the new Sea Arc Pro Guide, which it's a little bit longer. The consoles are more moved forward a little bit, and it just allows for two more seats to be in the back, which it's just a lot more comfortable guide boat for customers that I take out. It's really, really, it's laid out awesome. I really love it. But the boat's finished. I'm getting it from Jeff Jones Marine. They're supposed to go pick it up at the Sea Arc factory. Well, it was supposed to be in this week, but it ain't going to happen this week or last week because all the weather and everything was pretty nasty. So maybe I don't know. Maybe they'll get it picked up next week and get it back to the shop and get the engine hung on it and do the final once over, and then I can go pick it up in I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks maybe.
I know you can't wait. I know you can't wait.
Oh man,
If
I'm
for everybody
yeah, I'm definitely
for
wanting
anybody
to.
that don't know, Terry is a guide on the Mississippi rivers, the Ohio rivers, Tennessee River, and Cumberland River. If you look there behind him, I also got a link down in the description that's hooked on Cat's Guide Service.
There you go.
He's got a Facebook page. He's got YouTube, and he's on Facebook as Terry Rodgers also. He's got some of the best rates around. Go check him out, guys.
Yeah, I try to keep everything reasonable, enough to where I don't know. I just can't charge a whole lot for going fishing. You know what I mean? It's just me.
The smiles, isn't it? The smiles from them clients' faces.
Definitely. That's a huge plus right there. That's what it's all about. Definitely.
I know you do a lot of drifting down there, even on the Mississippi River, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I do a whole lot of drifting. A matter of fact, I'd say probably 85 to 90% of what I do is controlled drifting. And
Yes.
it's excellent technique for just about any size catfish. And I mainly target the larger blues, but man, I'll tell you what, there's days there where you just can't keep them off the hook drifting, and man, that's a fun day whenever that happens.
Yeah, there ain't nothing like watching that rod get slammed down while you're drifting down.
Oh, man, I tell you, yeah, it's awesome whenever you watch that rod tip, just start slapping the water and then just go on down, and oh man, it's exhilarating, definitely.
Was that 85 pounder last year? Was that called drifting?
No, actually, that was called anchored. We were
Really?
anchored. Yeah, we were anchored just maybe about a quarter of a mile north of the confluence of the Ohio and Mississippi River. I mean, we weren't very far from well, we could see the confluence from where we were at. And yeah, it was actually, it was caught while we were anchored. We had hit 3 or 4 other spots that day and had a little luck here and there, but wasn't a whole lot biting. There's really high water conditions, real fast current, and this one place over there, it's usually one of the better places whenever I face those kind of water conditions, early spring, high water. So I thought, we'll go over there and try it. Well, we went over there and tried it, and it wasn't. I don't even know if we got the 6th rod out, and one of them had already went down. So I said, well, this might be a pretty good little spot. They might be here. So we started fishing there, and it wasn't, I don't know, it was probably there about 20, 30 minutes. And that's when the 85 pounder just took the rod down. And man, I tell you what, you talk about burying a rod, especially in swift water, a big river, swift water. You got an 85-pound fish on the end. You didn't, the client that I had with me, we didn't know how big it was. We knew it was a good one because, I mean, it was just peel and drag, and it was, he wasn't doing too much with it. He was just holding on, really. And finally, we got it up to the side of the boat there, and I was like, "Good Lord, this thing's huge." So it was a lot bigger than what we thought. We were figuring somewhere around 50, maybe 60 at the most, because he really didn't fight that much. But man, we got him up there, and he filled the net up pretty good.
Nice. Was that the biggest fish of the year last year?
Yeah, that was the biggest one of last year. Was 85.
Nice.
Yeah, we caught 2 or 3 other ones that were in the 70s, low 70s. Then I don't know, I think 4 or 5 maybe in the 60s, and 2 or 3 in the 50s, and several in the 30s and 40s. But that was the biggest, definitely. That was the only one in the 80s.
Nice. Tim Molina's in the house. We got Peel and Drag, Hooks and Hammocks. How's everybody doing tonight? Thanks y'all for coming in. Tim Molina. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Country boy. Hey. Do you do much spot locking when you're drifting?
No, not really. I mean, I will every once in a while. If we run over a nice little drop or something like that, I'll pull back up a little bit and I'll spot lock, and we'll throw out and we'll try to maybe, back bounce through that little dip and maybe catch them. But excuse me, for the most part, whenever we're drifting, it's just a real steady, controlled drift through a certain area. And the spot lock comes into play a lot, whenever I'm trying to, target just one little specific drop or something like that. We can, like I said, we can spot lock and throw out, like anchored, and sit there 15, 20 minutes, see what happens. Or we can, kind of walk the baits on the bottom, backwards until they hit that little drop or little hump or whatever, and see what happens that way.
Got Patriot in the house. How you doing, buddy? Thomas was in the house. Muskrat. Hey, buddy. Hey, Terry Muskrat's asking, what gear do you use?
Well, my rods I use are the Rippin' Lips medium heavies and the heavy action also. It just depends. If I'm fishing the Mississippi River with a whole lot of current, excuse me, I know I'm going to be using, a lot heavier weights. I'll use the heavy action rods. But for the most part, I would use the medium heavy Rippin' Lips, which do the job. They're a great all around rod for anything from little 1 pound channels all the way up to 80 and 90 pound blues. So that's the rods that I use. And to tell you the truth, this year I'm using a new reel. I'm going to try these out. They're from Catfish Pro. Mike Baker, one of the owners of Catfish Pro, me and him's got to be pretty good friends over the last 2 or 3 years. And they came out with a brand new reel this year, and there's been several reviews on it, and every one of them have been good. So, Mike said, hey, he said, I'm going to send you some reels. He said, and I want a 100% unbiased opinion. Use them, see what you think about them, and just give me an honest opinion on what you think. If they break, he said, I want to know about it. He said, if they strip out, I want to know about it.
Right.
If you have any kind of problems, I want to know about it. He said, because if they can stand up to guiding, with a guide on these big rivers with these big fish, then they'll probably stand up to just about anything. So
that's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to put them to the test there, and we'll see what happens. As far as line, actually, I use the Hercules 70 pound braid, It's a great line. It's a more inexpensive line. I know a lot of guys will say, well, I use Power Pro and and I use this and I use that, the bigger name brands, and that's just fine. I have nothing against those. They're great. All of them out there are really, really good. But I've tried several of them over the years, and this the Hercules brand that I've been using. I've been using it now for about 4 or 5 years, and man, I tell you what, it's half the price of your name brands, and it's every bit as good as far as I'm concerned. Because I fish a lot and I fish hard, and I fish in a lot of really, really nasty places sometimes. And I tell you what, that line has really held up. It's a good line. And I'm not sponsored by them. That's just it. I'm not sponsored by them, affiliated with them, or nothing in any sort of way. That's just my personal take on it. It's a good inexpensive line if somebody's out there looking for something to put on the rod, and they're kind of on a budget. I mean, I could go out and buy Power Pro or something like that, but I don't want to, because I have found that right there does just as well.
Right, we got Mustang Max in the house. Got Kentucky Catman in the house. Two old vets. Seen you popping in. Two old vets asking a question. He wants to know how your ripping lips, medium heavy, do on the 40+ pound fish.
I tell you what, they're fun. That's just it. I mean, you hook up with a something 45, 50 pounds plus on a medium heavy, and they're really, really fun. I mean, because you can really feel the fight. A lot of times, with these heavier rods, you don't get to feel that real good fight with them, because they're heavy. They're made to winch a fish in. But with that medium heavy, you can really feel every head shake, every little tail flap. I mean, whatever. Man, it's fun, and they hold up really, really well. The backbone is unbelievable. They have a great backbone, sensitive tip, great backbone, and well, matter of fact, the 85 pounder that we caught last spring, that was caught on a medium heavy, and it had no problem whatsoever bringing that thing to the boat. I mean, none. Matter of fact, there's a video on my YouTube page, Hooked on Cats with Captain Terry Rodgers. The video on there is of that 85 pounder. We knew it was going to be a decent fish, so I just picked up my phone and I just started filming, and I started recording it. And sure enough, that's what turned out to be the 85 pounder. So if you're really wondering how they perform, there's proof positive right there that they can bring an 85 pounder to the boat in stiff current on a big river with high water. I mean, they're tough. They're awesome rods to have. They really are. And yes, I am sponsored by them, but I'm not saying that because I'm sponsored by them. I'm saying that because they work. They work, and they work really, really good. And man, I tell you what, for the price and the quality, you can't beat them. That's just my opinion, though.
Yes. Hey, Roger Muskrat, I will get you a wrench as soon as we get offline tonight. I haven't figured out how to do it while I'm online, so whenever we get off here, I'll get you that wrench. And Roger asked another question. I actually had it wrote down, but we'll go ahead and jump to it. When you're drifting, are you targeting flats, or do you like to drift the humps and the bumps and?
Excuse me. Well, it just depends. Whenever I target flatheads specifically, I am usually anchored. I will usually anchor above some type of structure, log jams, downed trees, rock piles, barges that have been anchored up, on the shoreline. There's several areas, to look for those. But drifting, I mainly target blues, and then the occasional channel cat that will, come up and get on there also. But the flatheads, that I mainly target them while I am anchored. With
yes. Do you do much flathead fishing?
A little bit. I'm more set up, for blues because that's my passion. I love fishing for those big old fat blues. I love it. But I do, do a lot of flathead trips also. I mean, and some days, guys will want to go, fish for blues in the morning, and we'll do flatheads in the afternoon. And that's awesome too. Kind of break it up a little bit. We'll find a big, log jam, or we'll find a creek mouth, or some barges or something, and we'll anchor up or hit a spot lock, and throw up in there and with some live bait and try to catch some of those flats out there.
There you go. Hey, Big Slim. Hey, Jason Lamb. How y'all doing? Do you want somebody's asking what your rates are? Do you want them to go to your website or you want to tell them on here?
No, I mean, if you go to the website, it's going to be the same as me telling you. So,
There you go.
so I don't
I
mind.
like some people don't.
Yep.
They just like to put it. There's the
Some people,
websites.
yeah, some people, kind of odd about that and everything, and that's fine, But I don't mind a bit. It's 165 per person per day, and that's an 8-hour trip. And truthfully, most people that's been with me, those 8-hour trips usually turn into a 9-hour or 10-hour because I like fishing just as much as they do. I like being out. Some days, those 8-hour trips, man, I tell you what, everybody's worn out at the end of those 8 hours from either catching so many fish, or the sun, or just being out there. But I don't know. It's like I said, I'm sorry, I'm getting off subject here, off topic. But yeah, it's 165 a day, per person for 8 hours, and I believe I've got 125 per day if you just want like a 4-hour trip, half a day trip. And then kids are half price. I mean, I can't charge full price for kids. So any kids 16 and under, it's half price.
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah.
Fishing with Big Mike. I seen your boy Troy in here, and thought I seen somebody else. If I skipped you, I'm sorry. I'll get back to you. We've been talking about jumping in suspend drifting, but that's your, like I said, well, that's your go-to technique, isn't it?
It
Suspend
is.
drifting.
Yeah, it really is because as far as drifting goes, man, I tell you what, I just like it because it's a good, easy way for people to fish. When they're out there with me, um, you can take your time. You can go as fast or as slow as you want. Uh, it allows you to have 6 baits out at the same time. And you're covering a lot of ground. I like drifting a whole lot better than anchoring because whenever you're anchored, what you're doing, you're putting that bait out there, and you're waiting for those fish to come to you to find that bait and come to you. Well, with drifting, you're doing what I call is taking the bait to the fish, because really, essentially, that's what you're doing. You are drifting down through there, and you're presenting the bait, to this group of fish over here, this group of fish over here, this group of fish over here, this group down here. As you drift on down those rivers, you're presenting it to so many more catfish down there. Surely you'll run across a few that are hungry. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Avid, thanks for stopping by. Stephen Corley, how y'all doing? Uh, what are your go-to rigs for drifting?
Well, tell you the truth, the go-to rig is just Carolina rig. I have a 70-pound main line tied to just a regular old barrel swivel. I have on the main line, I have a sinker slide with either a 6-ounce or 8-ounce weight on it, just depending, on the current. Sometimes I'll use even less than that, but mostly it's a 6 or 8 ounce, and that usually keeps that bait right where I want it, fairly straight underneath the boat while we're drifting. And then I'll use a 50-pound mono leader, about 14 to 18 inches long, to an 8/0 circle hook. And man, I tell you, it's just a good, simple Carolina rig. And man, I tell you what, it's killer there whenever you're drifting. It really is. It's a good way to drift.
I use the heck out of that Carolina rig. That's about the only thing I use for anchoring and drifting.
Yeah, yeah. Anchoring, it's great too. You know, the only thing different I do when anchoring, if I have a Carolina rig on, is I'll put a peg float down there to kind of get that up off the bottom just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of extra buoyancy. But other than that, it's a great rig for for anchoring also.
I'm not sure if you do much bumping, but when the Mississippi River gets up, what's the fastest you'll drift it?
I have drifted probably around 4 miles an hour, and that's getting
Really?
it. Yeah,
With the
yes, I
bait
have.
suspended?
Yes, suspended, and that's getting it. That is really getting it. I have done that before, but most of the time I prefer it a lot slower than that. But if it's rolling around 4 miles an hour, most of the time I've got a bumping rod in my hand. We're bumping down through there. I love that. There's just nothing like it. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
there's a few places on the Mississippi where I really love bumping. Up towards Cape Girardeau, Missouri is pretty good. From the confluence there of the Ohio and Mississippi rivers on up, not quite to Cape Girardeau, maybe to like Thebes, Illinois. There's a railroad track, or there's a railroad bridge right there, and from that railroad bridge down south, it's pretty good. There's all that down through there. You can bump down through there and catch all kinds of fish. And
Nice.
the thing is, it's just that whole area there is good. The Mississippi in general, all the way from Alton, Illinois, all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. Everyone knows that whole stretch of river right there is known for big fish and several of them. So, that whole area is good.
Hey, Betty, how you doing? River Whiskers, how's it going? Appreciate you guys coming in. Thought I seen somebody else, but the Baltimore Angler. Hey, buddy, how you doing? You know what I'm saying? What's up, big dog? Doing all right? Uh, I know you. I watch the depth finder when I'm drifting a lot. I love seeing them fish coming up. Are you a depth finder watcher?
Yes, I am. I am a depth finder watcher because, man, I tell you, I usually have my down imaging on and my 2D sonar on, and sometimes side imaging pulled up. But most of the time, man, I tell you what, there's nothing like watching that 2D sonar. Whenever they come up off that bottom and they get in those baits, because the way I have mine tuned, I mean, I can actually see the baits below my boat, and I can adjust those baits, accordingly, whether I want them 1 foot or 2 foot or 4 foot off the bottom or whatever. So, we're drifting down through there and you can see these baits. And then all at once you see this big, massive blob, just kind of come up behind those baits and get in there, with them. And they're going up and down, following those baits and getting in there. And I tell you what, a lot of the times when that happens, you can actually just turn around to the back of the boat and watch one of those rods just get hammered, and just get taken down. Man, I tell you what, ain't nothing like it. I love it.
I took a buddy of mine out one night after I called him up. Said, man, let's go do some fishing. He works with me. We was drifting and we was sitting there and I was looking at the depth finder. I said, hey, go grab that rod. And he's like, what? I said, go grab that rod. About that time it slammed. He said, how the heck did you know that? I said, just watching that screen, buddy.
Yeah, yeah, it was funny. I was out with a client. I guess this has been a couple of years ago, and we'd seen fish, on the depth finder. We did that. We had an okay day. It wasn't great, but it was okay. And I kept telling him, I said, I'm going to show you one of these fish on this depth finder here in a minute, how they come up and follow these baits. And well, we had one. I said, check this out. I said, here's one right here. I said, look at this. I said, he's just now coming up. I said, look at there, right there. He's in the baits. Watch this. I said, now turn around. I said, watch one of those rods. As soon as he turned around, that thing doubled over and he came up with like a 42-pound blue. It was just so.
Nice.
I mean, just to call it like that. That's just a neat feeling whenever you can do that.
P City's in the house, fishing with the Chad. Lee Evans. Appreciate y'all stopping by. There's Brandon, Catfishing Dreams. Appreciate you, buddy.
Oops, sorry.
If I've missed any questions on drifting for Terry. You guys want to post them up real quick? I probably missed a few. We got 52 people in chat. Y'all hit that thumbs up for me if you don't mind.
That's great.
We'll wait just a few seconds for some questions if they roll in.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any graphs on the back of the boat that you watch, or do you just have them on the cockpit?
No, I don't. I know a lot of guys do. A lot of guys like having a graph on the back of the boat, and I can definitely see that. I mean, it would be a good thing, but just the way I fish and the places that I fish, I really don't see the need for one. For me, the way I am, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with having one there because it's definitely helpful, especially if you're bumping or something like that. Definitely.
How much weight are you putting down? Where'd that comment go? How much weight are you putting down drifting that fast to see it on the sonar?
It just depends. It really does. If I'm drifting, y'all, in like a 3 mile an hour current, I'll usually have anywhere from 10 to maybe 14 ounces of weight. And if I want to really slow myself down, I have to add a little bit more weight on there. So, sometimes I'm drifting down the Mississippi, with 16 ounces, down there, just to hold it where I need to hold it down there. But, on the Ohio, usually you don't have that much current. So most of the time I'm using 6 ounces or 8 ounces, depending. And that usually gets me where I need, to have the baits there.
Let's talk a little bit about dragging. Do you do any dragging at all?
I do, but that's when I fish, lakes. Most of the time, whenever there's no current at all in the Ohio River, if you go up around Hallsville, that area, Owensboro, Henderson, a lot of times in that area, you don't have a whole lot of current at all. Sometimes you have none. But, you get down here on the very far end of the Ohio, I tell you what, there's almost always current. I mean, there's almost always current. So I never do drag down here in the rivers. Now, if I go to like Kentucky Lake or Barkley Lake or something like that, yeah, I'll do some dragging. But, the most effective technique down through here is either bumping or drifting.
I see Palmetto came in. Thanks for stopping by. You say there's that much current down there at the end of the Ohio. I'll be coming down there a lot now.
Oh yeah,
I gotta have that bumping rod in my hand.
Like I told you before, you got an open invitation. Anytime you want to come down, hop the boat with me.
Let's do it. Let's make sure I didn't miss any more questions.
Yeah, we get together. Probably miss a few.
Let's anchoring. As much as we don't like to anchor, it does have its perks about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Anchoring. Like I said, brush piles especially, any kind of structure like that, man, you can anchor and throw a live bait in there, and flatheads are awesome. You can anchor for blues, you can anchor for channels, you can do it just about anywhere and everywhere. It's just for me as a guide, I don't like anchoring because it's a very, very slow way to fish, and I like to have my clients engaged. I mean, like really engaged. Like looking here, looking there, reeling stuff up, letting it out, looking at the graph, all kinds of things like that. That's one reason I really don't like anchoring that much. It's just because it's a very, very slow way of fishing sometimes, and it's I can't say boring, because sometimes, man, it's not boring at all. I mean, it's crazy, but it's just a slower way of fishing, and I like to have my clients really engaged, and really having a good time and moving around and really getting a lot of participation and grabbing with the rods and reels and all that.
Mike Simpson, Tom Harris, appreciate y'all stopping by. Yeah, I'm just like you. I don't like that anchor, but I know there's been times when I've been out and we've been drifting and it's been a tough bite. I went anchored up on a big old tree and we smoked some fish.
Oh yeah, we did that last year. Matter of fact, you know, we were drifting and we just weren't coming across the numbers of fish that I really wanted to put them on. So you know, I knew of a little drop, you know, where it's always holding fish, always. I mean, this is kind of like a go-to spot. And we anchored right above it, and we tossed off, you know, 6 rods in it, and I don't think we got all 6 of them out before the first one went down. You know, and man, those guys had a blast for about 2 hours there. We were pulling fish out every 5 minutes. You know, we had a rod going down. It was a blast. Didn't catch anything, you know, huge. I think the biggest one might have been 25, 26 pounds. But with most of them in that 10 to 15 pound range. But man, I tell you what, they had a blast doing it.
That's enough to have some fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, that was you know that made the day right there. You know, whenever you catch that many fish, you know, in one little spot, just one after another, it's fun. It really is.
You wanna tell them about our bluegrass bash adventure?
Oh my God, that was something. That was really something. Mike and I and my stepson, we went out and fished the bluegrass bash last year down here on Kentucky Lake. Well, you know, we went to the captain's meeting and everything the night before. Everything was great. We thought, yeah, we're gonna get out there and we're gonna do some good. Well, the I had I had just gotten my boat back from the shop. I mean, the day before, and I hadn't had a chance to really go over it and check it out real good and all that. Well, we put the boat in. I turned the key. Nothing. Like, oh my God, here we go. So here we are, you know, we're getting tools out, this, that, and everything else. And man, I tell you what, it was bad. We we finally got all that fixed. We got the engine going. We motored out there, and then what was it? There was something up with the trolling motor.
It just wouldn't work.
Yeah, we didn't have any power to the trolling motor whatsoever. I mean, like zero. And we took the connections off. We cleaned everything, put everything back together. There were so many things. We checked fuses, all kinds of stuff.
And remember, we did not have an anchor in the boat.
Oh yeah, and then we didn't have an anchor because I thought, well, we're not anchoring, you know. And I don't know what happened. I forgot I don't know if I didn't put the anchor in the boat or what because you know I hardly ever use an anchor. So you know here we are out there in the middle of Kentucky Lake, no anchor, no trolling motor, and we're hoping the big motor's going to crank whenever we need it to crank. So you know it was pretty bad. We ended up going back to the marina, asking one of the guys there if we could use one of the anchors that they had for sale. So they said, sure, you know, just go ahead and take it. Well, we took it and we finally anchored up, you know, on some little drops. You know, we caught a few fish. We caught enough fish to, put in a live well and to bring into the weigh in. But then we got the anchor that we borrowed hung up and lost it. So it was one of those days where you know if anything could go wrong, it did go wrong. The only thing that didn't happen that day was the boat didn't sink. So everything else it was and I tell you what, that was a bad day. That
Hey,
was
but
just
we made it fun though. We sure made it fun.
we definitely had a good time. We really did. And that's what it's all about, you know. I know a lot of guys out there, you know, get discouraged sometimes, you know, and they, you know, get mad and they wonder, man, you know, am I ever going to catch a fish today, you know, or I'm only caught one or two, you know, and it ain't about that. It's about just getting out there, you know, and just being outside and having a good time. You know, it's not about catching a 50 pounder, you know, or catching, you know, 15 or 20 fish, you know, in an hour. It's about going out there, having a good time, being out in nature and just, you know, enjoying yourself. That's what it's all about.
That's right. I see Clearview Outdoors in here. That's Skip Stewart. How you doing, buddy? Daniel came in. Chrissy, seen you come in. Maurice, I've seen you in here. I just kind of forgot to shout you out, brother. I'm glad you came.
Yeah, I've been talking a lot. I do that a lot.
I know that's good.
I'm
That's
telling
all
you,
right with us.
you get me talking, and I'm just like a little chatterbox. I'm just going and go and go.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Have you? Do you do much winter fishing?
Mm. Well, as far as myself goes, I do a little bit of fishing, in the wintertime, and I'll always anchor. That's one of the times, one of the times of the year that I always anchor. I don't guide in the wintertime just because of what I talked about earlier. It's a very, very slow way of fishing. You throw everything out and you sit there and you wait for the fish to come to you. And, you know, for fun, I like going out there and doing it. But as far as clients go, I don't guide in the wintertime just because, like I said, I'm always going to anchor. Not always, but most of the time I'm going to anchor. And also the weather, you never know about the weather in the wintertime. I mean, the rain, the snow, the wind, river levels. I mean, just all kinds of things. It's just not. Sometimes, I would hate to take. I'll put it this way: I would just hate to take someone out, a group of people out. Catch maybe have a bad day, catch 5 or 6 fish or 10 fish or whatever, and them be freezing and cold and wet and and just have a bad day. I don't want to. I don't want people to have a bad day whenever they go out with me.
Right, right.
I just don't. Oh, and that's one other thing. It's kind of a little bit off topic, but that's one other thing about my guide business is I have a no fish no pay policy.
Check
If I
that
don't,
out, you guys.
well, that's just it. I mean, if I don't put at least one fish in the boat for you, you don't owe me anything at the end of the day because I feel like I haven't done my job, as a guide. And I just there's no way I could take somebody's hard earned money and not produce a fish for them. I mean, I'm not a sightseeing tour. I'm a fishing guide. People that come out with me, they don't come out with me to go see the sights on the river. They come out to put fish in the boat, and that's the way I feel. That's just the way I feel about it. And I'm not saying that's a right thing or a wrong thing, or on how to operate a business, but that's just me. It's just a personal thing. I don't feel right taking somebody's money if I don't put any fish in the boat for them.
Right. Yeah, I'll check that out. You ain't gonna find that too many different places now. But when you're out just fun fishing for yourself in the wintertime, other than just anchoring on, trees or whatever, what do you do different? Baits? Do you do different baits? And
A little bit, down here on this far end of the state, skipjack is king in the summertime. I mean, as far as for the blue cats, man, I tell you what, I'll go through, oh my God, hundreds of skipjack per year, fishing with them. But in the wintertime, I tend to lean a lot more towards shad, just because uh, the blues and stuff are known to feed a little bit more on the shad. They're a little bit easier to pick off, especially whenever the water temps drop. You have a big shad die off, and whenever you have that, man, they start gorging themselves on all those shad that are dying or have died off. And usually through the wintertime, the shad they just produce better in the wintertime. It's just been my experience.
yep, I think that too. I do. I think that too.
Hmm.
Hey, fishing magician, thank y'all for stopping by. The weekend angler, I seen you in here. I forgot to shout you out, brother. Glad you're in here. If you're if you're going out to anchor, you know you're going to anchor. Do
Hmm.
you mark fish, or do you just go off your gut sometimes?
Both. Um, you know, as a guide, I have several places where I know that fish are going to hang out, and I can go find them. I'll go scan those areas and see if there's fish down there usually first, and if we've got several fish hanging around down there, I'll usually anchor and we'll throw out. But, there's several little places, like I said, here and there that I know that are producers probably 90% of the time or more. So as far as anchoring, I'll usually go hit those. And then a lot of times, I'll go looking for different places also. I'll scan, see a big group of fish on a drop or on a ledge or something like that, and we'll pull up right above them and, spot lock with a trolling motor and toss some lines out the back and see what happens.
A weekend angler, yeah, I'm sure everybody wants to know where Terry catches skipjack. He's always catching skipjack.
Yeah. Yes, I am definitely catching skipjack a lot this time of year usually.
I love it when you post them and you get 15 million questions. Where are you getting them at?
Yeah, like, where you at? Where are you hitting them at? Where are they biting? Yeah, I know. You have no idea how many private messages I get. It's like, hey man, let me in on the secret. It's like, but really, the secret is you just got to get out there. I mean, there's really no secret at all to that. You just got to be at the right place at the right time and hit them just right.
What's your favorite skipjack and rig?
Well, a lot of people use the sabiki rigs. A whole lot of people do, and those things are awesome. They really are. But my favorite is just a 3 rig or a 3 jigs tied about 12 to 14 inches apart, with the bottom jig being about a quarter ounce or an eighth ounce. Then the 2 other jigs above it being 1/16 or 1/32 ounce. I like those, and then, with whatever type of tube jig or like a white curly tail jig, whatever you want to use to put on as the body. But that's usually all I'll use. It's just a three jig rig.
I think it's funny. Me catching skipjack up here on the Ohio River and they coming down there with you. I use mostly white when I'm catching them here. Come down there with you and you're throwing black.
Yeah.
That just freaks me out. I'm
throwing. I'll throw a black body with a pink skirt. A lot of times, that's really good. I mean, they will wear that out.
Yeah, so you're wearing them out. Yeah.
Those a lot of times, a white body with a red tail, or a red body with a white tail. Any of those little color combinations, and it's kind of funny, how skipjack are sometimes. Sometimes you think that you got them figured out, and then all once they quit biting, and then you switch a color, on your jigs, and all at once you start catching them again. I don't know if they kind of wise up to the colors that someone's using, and you're catching so many of them. I don't know if they wise up to it or not. I'm not a biologist or a fishologist or whatever. So, but it just seems, sometimes you just kind of got to change a color or something like that. You can start them biting again.
Mike Chavez. Hey, I appreciate you stopping in, brother.
What's up, Mike? I haven't talked to Mike in a long time.
Yeah. With you being so close to all them rivers, man, how do you determine which river you're going to go fish?
Well, I really don't determine that usually until about a day or two before. And it's usually based on how well I have been doing on other portions of the rivers here and there. If I've got one area that we're just wearing them out on, that's the area that I'll concentrate on. And whenever I start kind of slowing down right there a little bit, or maybe the water conditions change, I'll start moving to some other area on some other river, because different water conditions a lot of times will they'll move those fish. If you get a 2 foot or a 3 foot rise overnight in the where I really like fishing, on the Ohio River, right above where it connects to the Mississippi. If you get a 2 or 3 foot rise real fast overnight like that, a lot of times it pushes those fish out from their normal areas. It pushes them out towards the edges of the river, towards the banks. And, you just move a little bit closer, maybe you want to start anchoring a little bit. It really depends on the river conditions is where, or how I determine it really.
Let's say somebody contacts you and wants to fish the Cumberland River, but you being the guide, it's better on the Ohio River. How would you go about that?
Well, matter of fact, I've had that happen before. Somebody say, "Hey, man, I've really been just wanting to fish the Cumberland," and I'll tell them, "Well, we've been catching quite a few of them on Ohio." I said, "If you just want to go out to fish, to catch fish," I said, "but if you really want to fish the Cumberland," I said, there's some great places on there. And there's some awesome places to anchor. There's great places to drift, and if you've got enough current, you can even bump down through there sometimes. And there's a lot of areas down here on this end of the state in those rivers where I'm not going to say it's a 100% guarantee, because no fishing is guaranteed, but most of these places that I have, we can usually catch fish there. I mean, that's just it. Ever since I started doing this guide business thing, I've had that no fish, no pay policy. Well, I've been skunked 3 times.
Nice.
So, and yeah, I mean, 3 times out of what, almost 5 years now, 4 years of going.
That's pretty good odds there.
That's pretty good. I mean, it's pretty good. And that's why I'm saying, the fishing down here on this end of the state's really, really good. And if somebody really wants to fish the Cumberland River, hey, let's roll. I'm good with
it. Justin Fishing Fetish said, "I heard Terry's so good he can catch them from the couch."
I wish I was.
That'd be a trick there.
Yeah.
Hey, Muskrat Adventures Roger, he wants to know what you feel about the barometer, the barometric pressures and all that.
Barometric pressures, in my opinion, yeah, it has a lot to do with the fish. I mean, it really does. Man, I've seen a cold front move in, or a high pressure system move in, and I mean just totally shut the fishing down. Where I am just grinding to try to put a few fish in the boat. Matter of fact, here's a real good example. Steve came down, Steve Douglas. Me and him he came down. We went fishing out on the Mississippi on the Ohio here probably about 3 weeks ago. Well, 2 days before that, a couple of my buddies was out there. Man, they were wearing them out. And there was a front that came through. Then after that front, big high pressure system moved in. Bluebird skies, sunny, and man, I tell you what, I was wanting to get out there. Steve was wanting to do a video and make a good video and all that. And I told him, I was like, "This is gonna be hard." And sure enough, it was. I mean, I think we caught 2 fish all day. And man, we went all over the place. And it was because of that, that huge high pressure system that came in, and such a change in that barometric pressure. It has a big effect on them. I really do believe that. I would say most people that's been fishing a while agree with that.
I know a couple years ago, Steve made that video that's got that Coke bottle in that glass for his own meter. I think everybody made one of them.
I tell you what, yeah, it seems kind of funny there, but those things actually work. I mean, it's a crude barometer, but they work. So.
If you set up on a spot and you see that the fish are buried, you can see them, but they're going to be hard, they're going to be inactive. How long do you give those fish?
Usually about 30 minutes. That's just kind of my average, is right about 30 minutes. If I'm really confident in the place and I see a lot of fish down there, I might give it a little bit more, about 45 minutes. But usually, if I'm anchoring and I know there's fish down there, and if I put a bait right in front of those fish's faces, I mean, right there in amongst them, and I don't get any bites in 30 minutes, chances are, it's not going to happen. So we'll pull up and we'll go find some fish.
What got you started in catfish? How long you been fishing?
Oh man, what got me catfishing was my family. Man, I tell you what, we used to. I've been fishing ever since I was old enough to hold a rod. Tell you the truth. I grew up down here on the very, very far end of Kentucky, the far western end. We could drive 20 minutes and be at the banks of the Mississippi River. So that is what we would do. That's how I grew up catfishing, was off the bank down here, around Wycliffe, Kentucky, Columbus, Kentucky, all up and down through there on the Mississippi. We would go over to my grandma and grandpa's house, on a Sunday after church, and we'd kick back and have a big old meal. And then after that, most of the time in the summertime, after that, we'd throw all the fishing rods in the back of the truck and we'd hit the river bottoms and we'd go fishing, and we'd fish the dark a lot of days, and that's how I grew up. And man, I tell you what, there's no better way in the world to grow up than that. Fishing with family and all that, and having a good time, and catching fish. It's a great way to grow up doing stuff like that.
Heck yeah. I know you've been a part of the Catfish Conference since year one.
Yeah.
What are you going to be doing this year?
Well, kind of like what I'm doing here. It's going to be a little bit of a question and answer thing, but I think mainly Steve wanted me to do a little seminar on what it takes to be a guide. There's a lot of guys out there that look at everybody, and say, man, I'd love to do that for a living, or I'd love to have a side job, as a guide, and there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, a lot of things that people don't really think about. A lot of people think, man, I'd love to be out there and fish for a living. Well, really, you don't. What you do is you take people fishing. That's what you do. You don't fish yourself. I know some guides, will pick up a rod and they will, they'll fish along with the clients and stuff. To me, now this is just my personal opinion too, there's nothing wrong with that. But to me, my clients are out there to fish. I'm there to take them fishing, not to fish myself. So, like I said, that's just me. That's just my personal take on it. And I don't like. I want my clients to have a good time, not myself.
Right.
I got off kind of a little bit on that, but that's just me.
Right.
But
I seen Mark Clark come in. We got Dale came in. But I seen somebody else. Eric came in. I appreciate y'all coming in. Terry, how does everybody, if they want to contact you to get a trip, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, they can contact me. The easiest way is just give me a call. My cell phone. Matter of fact, the number is right.
There you go, right way.
Wait a minute. Getting here. Yeah, right there. There you go. They got me all screwed up. But anyways, yeah, my number's right there. That's the easiest way to contact me. It's 270-210-4308. You can text me, you can call me, message me on Messenger, or you can go to the Hooked on Cats website at www.hookedoncats.net. And check that out there. It's it's got everything, all the info on it, where we fish, how we fish, rates, hotel info, just stuff like that.
And you do have a YouTube page too, also, right?
Yes, yeah. The YouTube page is Hooked on Cats with Captain Terry Rodgers.
I got all that linked down in the description.
Yep. And and the thing is I haven't been able to make a lot of videos in the past 2 or 3 years because, man, I've been so busy, doing the guide thing. I mean, this thing is like taking off beyond my wildest dreams. and it has really, really just just blown up. It's awesome. I love doing it too.
Hey, fishing with the squirrel. Uh,
Do what?
yeah, I remember when you come out a couple years back and said you was going to start this, and I heard you say, you had that no fish, no fee. I was like, wow, they're going to be busy.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, is I feel confident enough that I can do that. And there's two things that goes into that. Number one, I feel confident enough that I can put fish in the boat for people at just about any time of the year, on any trip. But if I don't, then I don't feel like I've, earned your money. So, if I don't put a fish in the boat for you, you don't owe me anything. You know,
That's
yeah, I
that's
think I've got something on the website there. It says getting skunked sucks bad enough. You shouldn't have to pay for it too. So, and really, that is how I feel. Because it does. Getting skunked sucks. It just sucks. And you shouldn't have to pay to get skunked. So that's just the way I feel, though.
when are you going to open up uh, to let people start uh,
I
getting
usually
trips with
start.
you?
I usually start my guide trips right around the 1st of April
First of
because
April.
yeah, unless the weather is really really nice, mid March or late March. Usually 1st of April is when I start. Um, just because, like I said, the weather. I don't want my clients getting out there and being frozen to the seats, and having to bundle up, and it's no fun like that. A lot of people come out expect to catch fish and have a good time. I don't want them to have to worry about staying warm and staying dry and all that. So yeah, I like fishing the a little bit warmer months.
And
I
for
saw
anybody that wasn't here in the
oh I
beginning,
saw
what
something
boat? Oh, go
also.
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
That's
saw
all
something
right.
out there that someone asked if uh, if I guide just on weekends, and no, I don't. I guide 7 days a week because the way my schedule is and everything, it allows me time to schedule trips through the week, on the weekends, just about any time. Just if you want to give me a call and you have a specific day in mind, I can do weekday trips or weekend, either one.
What is your thoughts on water temperature being too cold to drift?
For me personally, I right about when it drops into that 50 to 52 area, anything below 50 degrees, I'll usually start anchoring or drifting extremely slow. And I mean extremely slow. Uh, but most of the time, anything below 50 degrees, I'll usually anchor.
And for anybody that wasn't here at the beginning, what boat are we waiting on?
We are waiting on a 2021 Sea Arc Pro Guide, and hopefully it will be here in the next about 2 or 3 weeks.
Thomas had a question. He wants to know is there a benefit to fishing the confluence of the two rivers?
The benefit of fishing that is a lot of fish and a lot of big fish. There's just a lot of fish there. I mean, it's a great place to fish. Because you can fish the swift water of the Mississippi, you can fish the slower water of the Ohio, and a lot of times, that real swift water of that Mississippi, those fish will come out of the Mississippi, get in the slower water of the Ohio River, and they'll just kind of lounge around in it, because it's usually clearer, it's usually slower, and there's a lot of bait fish in there. So it's just they just kind of lounge around in there, all up and down through it, the lower portion of it there.
We're coming up on the hour, but what's your favorite memory in catfishing?
Favorite memory in catfishing is catfishing with my grandma and grandpa growing up whenever I was 6 or 8 years old, and me, my mom, my dad, grandmas, grandpas, aunts, uncles, and everybody, would be lined up there on the banks of the Mississippi whenever I was a kid. If I could go back and do that again, man, I tell you what, that would make my year, my world, my life, whatever. I loved it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it out there. If we got any questions, shoot them up
Yeah.
now, so that way we can
Yep.
see
Any
them.
questions, y'all just ask away. I'm an open book, definitely. I don't mind. I don't mind answering questions. Any kind of question you guys have, have at it.
Mr. Gadget said he's waiting on a new boat from them also.
I think a lot of people are, and I even thought, I even heard, shouldn't say thought, I even heard that Sea Arc was not taking any more new orders for 2021 because they have so many of them to get caught up on right now. I don't know if that's true or not. I really
Wow.
don't know if it's true, but yeah, it's that's if that is true, that's a that's a lot of boats.
Oh, I don't know why we missed that question, but what's your personal best?
My personal best is 76. And
76. About
I mean, I've been fishing all my life, and that's the biggest fish I've caught. A lot of people's been fishing for this long. They're up in the 90s or triple digits, but for some reason, my personal best, I can't get past 76. I don't know why, but I'm trying.
that's a blue cat, right?
Yeah, it's a blue.
What's a,
Man, it was
what's
caught
that?
right there at the confluence of the Ohio and Mississippi.
Appreciate you stopping by, Hagen.
Hey,
What's the personal best flathead?
personal best flathead's 40. This is
40?
big. Yeah. Yeah, it was a 40 pounder that I caught, and that was actually down in Alabama on Wheeler Lake.
Really?
Yep.
Roger wanted to know, what electronics do you run?
Humminbird Helix 10.
Your Humminbird?
Yep, I'm a Humminbird guy. I really always have been, just because it's what I'm used to. Lowrance, man, they have awesome units. Garmin has awesome units. Just about any of them out there nowadays are top notch. It's all about personal preference, and the little things, little subtleties here and there on the units, that it's what you're used to, it's what you like, what you really like, and I'm just a Humminbird guy.
I think we covered it earlier, but somebody's asking, what's the
Yep.
personal best of your clients?
85. That one that we put in the boat last year. It was our very first guide trip of last year with Luke Cash. He was from I think he's from right up around Herrin, Illinois, I believe. And yeah, he put an 85 pounder in the boat, 85-pound blue, and that was the boat record. So it was a nice one. Loved it.
I look like they're in the middle of summer. You had look like a small family out. Look like you guys did really well
Oh yeah,
on some big fish.
yeah, we did. Yeah, it was some people that came down from, I believe, Fort Wayne, Indiana, and man, they came out, and man, we had an awesome time. I mean, we caught several nice fish, big fish. Uh, I've had a lot of people, families, that'll come out. I had some people from the Boot Hill in Missouri come up last year, just out of the blue, and they asked me, "Hey, man, you got any days open this week or this weekend?" And I said, "Yeah. As a matter of fact, I've got tomorrow open. If you want to, it's kind of short notice." I said, "But I can do tomorrow." And they came. They said, "Well, we'll be there, at the Wycliffe boat ramp at 6 o'clock in the morning." So we hit the water, and man, I tell you what, there for 8 hours, we almost got tired of catching them. I mean, serious. There were so many. I mean, we just put fish after fish after fish in the boat. I mean, just anywhere. I think the smallest one we caught was like, I don't know, 8 or 9 pounds. And the biggest one was, up. I think the biggest one that day was around 36, 37, something like that. And man, it was an awesome day.
Roger wanted to know, do big fish hang with smaller fish, or do they separate?
Um, yeah, they kind of separate, I think. As far as those the bait fish go, I've noticed. This is just my theory. When a little bit bigger fish move in, they usually kind of tend to shy away and go somewhere else. Kind of off. Because they really don't want to get eaten. But smaller, the smaller fish though, I've cast netted before shad. I've cast netted shad before. And come up with some blues and little channels in the cast net also. I mean, so they're hanging in there with them. They're feeding on the smaller shad. Maybe I really don't know. That's the only thing I could figure out. Maybe they were hanging below the shad or whatever.
And one more time, what rods and reels?
Yeah. I use the Ripping Lips rods. Most of the time, it's the 7 foot 6 inch medium heavies, just because you can feel so much more fight, with those. And I'll use the heavy rods also, but that's usually when I'm using some really heavy weights, like whenever I'm drifting or whatever on the Mississippi, and you just need the heavier rod for the swifter current like that. And the reels I use this year, I am kind of testing out some new reels for Catfish Pro Company. Mike Baker from Catfish Pro sent me some reels to just kind of test out, and he wanted an honest opinion on what I thought about them. So I'm going to be kind of testing those out, and we're going to see if they can hold up to guiding. And if they do, he's probably got a pretty good product then.
Thomas Littlepage, can clients bring their own rods?
Yes, they can. A lot of guys, have their favorite rods, or they're just used to them, and that's what I always tell everybody. You're welcome to bring your own gear, your own rods, your own tackle, whatever you want to bring. I supply, well, whenever someone books a trip with me, I tell them, hey, look, the only thing you got to show up with is something to eat and drink for lunch and a valid fishing license. I will supply, I got everything else covered. But if they want to bring their own tackle and equipment, they're more than welcome to.
Have you got a sneak peek at the new Ripping Lips bumping rod?
Yes. That's almost
You also use their hooks too, don't you?
Yes, I love the hooks. It's really
So
the best hooks that I have found. And man, I tell you what, I have been through a lot of hooks, a lot of different brands, a lot of different designs, a lot of different sizes, and I can honestly say that the Ripping Lips 8/0 circles are my number one pick. And if I had to pick a number two, probably the Team Catfish 8/0 double action hooks there. But yeah, the Ripping Lips are by far my favorites. I mean, and I'm not saying that just because I'm quote sponsored by them or whatever. I'm saying that as a fisherman, that my guide business and my reputation depends on that. I don't use anything. I don't push anything unless I believe 100% in that product. I just don't. That's why I don't have very many sponsors. Just because if I don't believe in a product, there's no way I'm going to put my name and my business's name and my reputation on the line to push a product I don't believe in. It just doesn't happen.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, I know there's other guys going live tonight, but I want to thank you again for hopping on here and chatting with me.
Oh yeah, man. Anytime.
Thank everybody.
Yep.
Thank everybody for stopping by. We'll catch you guys next week. We'll appreciate y'all. See you guys.
All right. See ya.